Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for tuning in and joining me today. Today's project was inspired by my rice bag. You know, look at how cute this is. So my rice, it's got a little zipper at the top. My rice came in a plastic bag inside this. I usually buy basmati rice and I get it from a Chinese store, little Asian store, but I've seen bags like this at my local grocery store, my Fortinos and things. So not hard to find, but come on, you're not getting rid of this. This is like so cute. So brought it here to the shop with the idea that of course there's going to be some kind of project. So what I am going to do for this project is I'm going to cut it apart, and I need 2 pieces. So I'm going to cut off the zipper. I will unpick the seam. I'm probably going to cut it. I'm going to check the width and cut it so that I may be saving this little edge. Well, you know me, it's like I have no idea what I would do with that edging, but it's cute. So I'm thinking I'll do something. It's kind of the same thing with, I'm not throwing out this burlap bag. It's cute. I'll think of something. So I'm just gonna cut it apart in 2 pieces and then I'll show you what we're gonna do. Okay, I have these cut, and I even have a little piece left over that was at the bottom of the bag that, you know, I'm gonna use for another project, a little label of some kind. I think it's the elephant that I love so much. All right, it's like, look at the elephant. So here's the idea. I was lucky enough to thrift this big window. So I think I thrifted it $11, which, you know, at a thrift store, probably an okay price, I think. I love it with the hardware still on. The handle, I'm gonna leave all that. Just realizing that I need to go and get some window cleaner because this next part actually involves us working from the back. And once I seal that up, I'm gonna need to make sure these are super clean. So let me clean them off and then I'll rejoin you. Okay, so my thought is this, is I want to put each of my little burlap pieces into each of the 2 side frames. I'm gonna glue, and I'm gonna glue them because I can't necessarily nail down into this little cross piece. It's really narrow and really dry. So that would just end up being a big mistake. And these frames are actually, as I'm looking at them, the glass panes are hot glued in place. So I am actually going to do the same. I'm going to hot glue them to the wood so that if I decide to switch them out later, I can easily do that without any structural issue at all. So I'm going to hot glue those panels in. And I'm gonna do one first and then try and use that one to line up the other one, because they're identical, if they're not kind of lined up nicely, it's gonna look really wonky. I'm sure that's a technical crafting term. So here we go. I'm just gonna do a bit of hot glue at a time because that whole row would dry up on me otherwise. And again, it's burlap, so you want to make sure that your fingers are kind of out of the way. And I don't want this to come too far into this pane, only because you would see it as I'm dripping glue everywhere. Old glue gun, I still haven't found a new good one to replace this one with. So if y'all have one you love and you swear by it, let me know, because I am in the market for one that works. I did buy, I did get gifted a DeWalt, and I was having major trouble with it. What they said was that I was using the wrong size glue, so I bought the glue that they said, and it still won't feed. So, not happy with that one. Okay, so that seems to be holding in place really well. So I'm just gonna go around all the other edges. Because I did this side, I'm gonna go tack this side next, and then tack up and down, and then do the rest so that it's nice and taut. It's nice and taut. Not all of my body is that way anymore at my age, but you know, I can make other things taut. Let me show you, I've got the first panel in. Cute, right? Okay, I'm gonna do the second panel. Here's a trick that I discovered as I was going. Putting my glue down, I took one of these little glue sticks. So they're kind of rubber, they're plastic. I bought a package of them off of Amazon just to spread things out on my molds and stuff. But I just took this and then pushed the burlap into and against the frame, and it helped really straighten it out and make it taut. So just a little trick. For this side, I'm gonna kind of turn this so I'm not dragging the glue gun all over the place. I'm gonna start with the top because what I found when I kind of looked to sort of line it up, and I don't care that it's perfect, but I just want it so that it's not like an inch off. I just found that I have the least amount of space at the top to make it line up. So I'm gonna do that first, or at least have it kind of in the spot that I need it. Because if I start from the bottom, then I could be way off, and I don't want to lose any of that lettering. So we're gonna do it first. That worked out pretty good, pretty good. So now we've got our two cloth panels in. Now for this, you could just put in plain burlap. You could put in maybe a muslin that you've stamped. So any of the IOD stamps would be lovely. You could put in just a grain sack ticking, you know, anything is gonna work. What I did do is I left the center, and I just need to kind of put this off to the side here. I left the center so that we could put a wreath in there. Now I don't have a wreath that size, and I kind of wanted it to be sort of rustic looking, but I have this one, and if you look really closely at these guys, you'll see that they just have really thin wire holding them in place. So I am just going to, and when I see thin wire, like plain scissors, cut that, right? And it just pulls away. So nothing strong, but it just made me think, I'm gonna need wire to hold it in place. So I have some thin wire here myself. So I am just going to cut each of those wires. Oh, they really attached it to your little, to you. And, okay, 4 places. That was a rusty wire. Okay, and now we're just gonna kind of tease it apart because it's just a piece of this. And what I want to do is ultimately just kind of wrap it around so that, because that looks about right, but let me just do a check. Maybe just a tinch smaller. I can make it go a little smaller. All right, I'm just reaching down and kind of roughly measuring it against the window pane here. I'll show you in a sec, but right now I can't let go of this. All right, so I'm just taking really, really thin wire, just a spool of it. Whoops, I didn't hang on to that tightly enough, obviously. I just buy that from the dollar store, and I use it all the time, quite honestly. So definitely a good purchase. And there we go. Okay, so that is holding it in place right now. What I will need to do is do it down in those spots and do one right here. So I will need to do it in a couple more places. But let me just show you this. So the idea is going to be that we're going to put this in the middle glass. So we'll do a couple more little things to it. But let me get this wired up fully, and then I'll get my other supplies, and we'll kind of zhuzh that up a little bit before we put it in place. All right, now that I got my little wreath done up, and it's not even from the standpoint, it's kind of, you know, fatter on one end, thinner on the other. I'm okay with that. What I do have are these little pips, right? So they're all on wire. They're just in kind of a creamy white. It's just gonna be a nice, simple little finish. I don't want anything major on this. And so I'm just gonna take the one end, tuck it in, and then don't unravel these because we want it to go through the center. And if it's unraveled, you're just gonna have a heck of a time, because all we're doing is we're just gonna wrap it around. So we're just adding just a tiny little bit of color, right? Just a little bit of this creamy white going around. Now that my little wreath is finished, and I think that's all that I'm looking to do to it. I don't need to do more from the standpoint of more color or flowers or ribbons, or, you know, we're just going for simple on this, right? So here's the thing. I want it to stay in place. So I don't want it to move around. I'm gonna glue it to the glass. Again, if I'm looking to switch this out, the glue is actually going to be able to come up off of my glass. I don't want to say fairly easily, but pretty easy. It's not going to just arbitrarily pop off. You need to help it along, but it does mean that I can remove it. It's just going to be two big blobs, and then get it in place before it hardens. We'll just hold that down. Keep that in place. So, I mean, this is really super fast. Now, I was lucky that I really didn't need to paint out this frame. It was already painted white. It's kind of worn. I was cool with how it looked. It's lightly naturally distressed. So we didn't do all that. But no, you could. You could start off by taking whatever old frame you have and painting it out in whatever color that you need. The other side to this is you could take any old picture frame, so it doesn't have to be a window, and you could just, with one full panel, do exactly the same thing. Put your fabric in behind and then hang, you know, a little wreath out in front. attach it onto the glass in the front. So it doesn't have to be a window. You could have a window. I've done similar things where, very often here in the shop, I'm taking off the front glass doors on hutches, and then I use those glass doors for other projects. So, excuse me, I don't know if I'll be editing that out or not, but if I don't, excuse me. The other thing that you could do, you could take a little bird. This one happens to be on a clip, and you could certainly clip him in onto your project if you wanted. I'm thinking I don't want, but if you do, go for it. So keeping it just nice and simple and nice and plain, it's kind of very quick, but very cute. And like I said, lots of options here with using old windows, 1 panel, 2 panel, 3 panel, using glass cabinet doors, using just the glass in the frame from an old picture frame that you thrift, and being able to use any kind of fabric. You could get a plain fabric and stamp it. You could do grain sack stripes. You could get just a lovely old dishcloth, or maybe you've got some really lovely old doilies from your grandmother or something, maybe old t-shirts that have logos and sayings that are special to you, that maybe they're from old concerts that you attended. There's so many cool ideas that you could use something like this, putting the fabric in. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. I'm kind of digging it. I'm kind of loving this, but love to hear from you, as always. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, take care.